The Kremlin can no longer hide this. The front is cracking at the seams. The Russians really messed up. The generals just don't know how to tell Putin about it. The armed forces of Ukraine are giving it their all. We've never seen such a harvest of destroyed equipment. The most spectacular operations of the armed forces of Ukraine. We'll show you right now.
In the Kharkiv region, Baba Yaga carried out a nighttime raid. The border guard struck enemy transport and shelters with a heavy bomber. In Yastruba, there is a burning. The FPVI drones destroyed Russian positions, destroyed a car, and prevented the launch of a UAV. Warriors of the 22nd Brigade, enemy reconnaissance planes were shot down in the sky over the Kharkiv region. The Chartia Brigade has added a camouflage tank to their achievements. Enemy shelters also took a hit, along with infantry who were desperately trying to escape from the drones. The Achilles Regiment showcased their combat support. The Frontline service station operates 24/7. Transport quickly breaks down due to shelling, mined areas, broken roads. So, the fighters of the automotive technical units are doing everything possible to speed up the repair of these iron horses.
This is our Mercedes Unimog, which came under fire from enemy SPV, on which it was destroyed. The roof, the building was destroyed. Here's the opening we have. The car is almost restored, replacing the windshield. I think in a couple of days it will start carrying out combat missions for us.
And these shots are from a sniper from the mainland battalion who hits an enemy drone with a rifle. When it is impossible to silence the drones with a rifle, accurate shooters are on the alert. In the area of Kremina and the Serebryansk forestry, the Phoenix drone pilots are working against the enemy. They destroyed a tank, a cannon, 1.5 dozen trucks, a relay station, and personnel. The occupiers' attempt at a mechanized assault on the estuary direction again failed. The 66th Brigade noticed and neutralized the BMP in time. In the temporary Yar, Muscovites enter mostly in small groups, hiding in destroyed buildings and the remains of plantations. And when the number of groups increases, they push towards our positions. The defense there is ongoing under extremely difficult conditions. The enemy is throwing new units into the fight. Our infantrymen from the Kyiv 24th Brigade are successfully disrupting the invaders' plans for a crossing. Street battles are ongoing in Toretsk. Fighters from the 101st General Staff Security Brigade showed how a Russian tried to blow up a house, with our defenders using an anti-tank mine device. Fortunately, the detonator did not go off and the fuse was removed from the small arms. Fighters of the 28th Separate Mechanized Division in the Toretsk sector destroyed an enemy armored personnel carrier with several strikes from a kamikaze drone.
In the Toretsk direction, the enemy, supported by aviation and artillery, attacked our positions near Krimska, Dakhna, and Toretsk. Konstantinivka and Toretsk were hit by airstrikes. The occupiers tried to transport personnel using vehicles and armored equipment, but they lost a tank and 2 cars.
In the Pokrovsk direction, among others, the fighters of the National Guard Brigade Spartan are holding back the pressure. The occupiers tried to get closer to the Ukrainian positions, but the watchful eyes of the aerial reconnaissance spotted their movements, and the drone operators stopped them before they could get close. The fighters of the 155th Brigade, named after Anna of Kyiv, are fighting in AMX-10 tanks, praising the maneuverability, speed, and quiet operation of French armored vehicles.
It will be replaced by a wheeled tank which provides support during assaults and the withdrawal of the wipers. It has maneuverability. We can quickly turn around in one spot, shoot, and then leave.
The Guar warriors burned the enemy howitzers near Pokrovsk, along with the living quarters and hideouts of the Russian invaders. Pilots of the ALA-125 unit. The Sichislav brigades got used to working on antennas for enemy drones.
The antenna is actually a complex target. It's often camouflaged and it's really hard to destroy, but it's possible.
In the temporarily occupied settlement area, the Ukrainian Defense Forces destroyed a storage facility for thermobaric munitions. They also blew up the sunroof system, the charging machine, and the crew. The Air Forces, using Su-27, MiG-29, and F-16 aircraft, carried out an airstrike on enemy personnel. The automotive equipment was brightly lit up in the Novopavlivka direction. This is the work of the drone operators of the 110th Brigade, named after General Horunji Mark Bezrushko. They completely destroyed the loaves and the Jigulis that the enemy uses instead of armor. With faith in our fighters, Tetiana Litvin, Interdetails, Mark United News.
The arena of total destruction. This is what the sky looks like now over the Turkish direction. Drones are a nightmare for Russians, and they simply don't know how to escape from the invasion of Ukrainian birds. Everything around is just burning. The Russian positions are almost gone. All the details are in the following report.
Turkey, the Turkish direction. The safest trips here are at night.
To be a more challenging target, so to speak, for the enemy.
And here, we are at the positions of the Azov drone operators. Here, the final preparations for combat operations are underway. Darts will be operational.
Darts, what flies far, and this is what hits the enemy, where he is not waiting for the appearance of some drones. That is, again, we work far behind enemy lines. We work where many means cannot reach. But for us, these are real targets, and that's why it's effective.
This is our ammunition that we took from the enemy. This is our type of shrapnel, 3 pieces weighing 1 kilogram each, and it causes a lot of pain.
The ammunition, just like the drone itself, is shown to us by a fighter who worked as an architect in civilian life. In 2024, he came to the Azov recruitment center on his own. He chose his call sign by himself.
I was talking to a girl once and she said,
"But what about those normal call signs?"
I asked her, what about a normal call sign? She says, well, kitty bunny, I don't think for long, well, sunshine. Sunshine is actually a great option.
This little plane can fly 50 kilometers and hit a target deep in enemy territory with fragmentation or thermobaric munitions. The ratio of price to quality is impressive.
Its cost is $1,000, plus or minus 40,000 hryvnias. With this money, it can hit, for example, equipment worth millions of hryvnias, which greatly hinders our soldiers' operations. We strike from the sky, hitting tanks and electronic warfare systems.
Besides the price, one of DART's advantages is its ability to hit both stationary and moving targets.
The most intense operation I had was during this night flight, when at the last moment we spotted a truck. And we managed to hit it.
A port operator, and now also a soldier, with 6 months of experience. He says he chose from several units. I settled on Azov.
Everyone is motivated. Most of the people here are volunteers. And this is a unit where you can fully utilize your skills.
Anyone who wants to can join the professional companies that destroy the enemy. The main thing is motivation and a desire to learn, they say in Azov.
We are open to collaboration, and we are waiting for new people who want to join us. We don't have standard military training. Our training is specifically Azov's. In the March, you will be taught, and there is an opportunity to go abroad for training specifically by Azov instructors. This won't be general military training. It will be specifically Azov's, which is very important.
During our conversation with the Husky, it becomes clear that the Dart we filmed hit a dozen targets. The enemy has lost a few units of equipment. The enemy's rear has once again proven to be quite conditional. And to make such strikes more frequent, you can support the Azov fighters with a donation. On the screen, there's a QR code for artillerymen who need reliable wheels and watchful eyes. Oleg Endrickson, Viktor Zelenkov, Program Windows STB, Marathon. The only news?
Russian ships are sinking like lightning. Powerful explosions in the ports of Crimea. Strikes, one after another. The crews are fleeing in panic. Moscow can't do anything. The formidable Russian fleet has become a fat target for the armed forces of Ukraine, and the sea has turned into a real trap. Thank you. How is it possible to take down the enemy's fleet? This is covered in our material.
The Russian cruiser Moskva and the landing ship Chaser Kunikov. And this is the missile boat Ivanovits. This is how precisely, step by step, the defense forces are destroying enemy ships. In this naval battle, we have already accounted for over 20 ships that will never be able to sail in the Ukrainian Black Sea again.
As of this morning, there were no ships in the waters of the Black Sea. We haven't been monitoring the waters of the Azov Sea since last year. When several attacks were happening on our side, the Russians directly felt that there was a danger, and they, for example, withdrew even beyond the Semes Bay, 5 carriers of cruise missiles.
It is our cruise missiles and naval drones that have become too dangerous for the Russian fleet. Because of this, the ships that are still left in Russia, the enemy hastily withdrew from occupied Crimea and the Azov Sea. Now, they are based in Novorossiysk.
Submarines and frigates and missile boats carrying calibers. This is the main strike force. The Russians, that's exactly where they are. And the landing ships, by the way, are mostly all there. The deployment of these ships, Dava to sea, may not last for long. So they went out in an hour. They deployed in the area of combat training. Launched the missiles. Missiles, they turned back.
The destroyed and damaged Russian ships remain in occupied Crimea. There is a repair base that services the enemy fleet.
In Sevastopol, there are several large landing ships that we have damaged, including this Olinogorsky Hill. Minsk is located there. And there are the ships guarding the water district. That's what they were called. So these are all missile boats. These are transports. There were small missile ships, corvettes, and anti-submarine vessels to protect the base point.
The wave destroyed Russian military logistics, and then ours also destroyed oil products in Feodosia and Sevastopol. All of this reduced the combat capability of the Russian army. In nearly 3 years of full-scale war, the Russian Black Sea Fleet has lost 30% of its combat potential.
There are 3 orders, ships in the city. At the beginning, there were about 80 of them in the combat units. The therapist is actually already not in service, but an even larger number of ships sustained damage. Frigat and Makara. The FS received damage among the patrol ships. There were only 4 of them in the composition. Only 1 did not receive damage. The last was Pavel Derzavin, who received 2 injuries in 2 days.
Russia, as a rule, hides strikes on its facilities and denies losses, but they are so large-scale that it is impossible not to notice them. This also affected the families of Russians who were brought to Crimea to serve in the Navy. Now they have returned to Russia as the occupying fleet on the peninsula has practically disappeared. Ilvina Sidbulaeva, We Are Ukraine, Marathon, United News.
That's all from me. It was me, Dartsia Hutsakalo. Even more hellish news from the front in our next episode.